Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, saluting Earth Day on April 22nd with an ongoing commitment to help offset carbon emissions with sustainable harvesting of Missouri forests. Details at choosewood.com.
Welcome to St. Louis on the Air. I'm Evie Hemphill. May is Older Americans Month, and senior citizens currently make up the fastest growing age group in the U.S. Growing along with their numerical ranks is a community-based movement among older adults committed to enabling people to age in place. Joining me in studio to talk about this broad movement and its local presence are Madeline Franklin, the executive director of STL Village, a member-based organization that is celebrating 5 years this week, Arthur Colbert, a co-founder of STL Village, as well as New City School's urban farmer in residence, and Paulette Sankofa, the founder of Peace Weaving Wholeness, a nonprofit in Old North St. Louis that is currently developing Sankofa Culture and Art Wellness Village. Madeline, Arthur, and Paulette, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Madeline, let's start with you. In some ways, the idea of a village of people taking care of each other and providing for each other's needs might not sound like a particularly new thing, but what is it about this community-driven effort like STL Village that makes it so unique?
I think that the village movement actually is something that occurred in the past where older adults continue to live at home in their neighborhoods, but a breakdown occurred as far as communities were concerned, and so the ideal became people moving from their neighborhoods into age-segregated facilities. And so the exciting thing now is that people have identified that they want to continue to live in their home. A research done by AARP shows that 9 out of 10 older adults want to continue living at home, and the village movement makes that possible.
Give me an overview of just what STL Village is, for those who don't know.
Okay, STL Village is a plan, not a place, and our mission is to support older adults age 50 plus who desire to remain active and engaged in their communities. It is not a residential facility, but it enables members through interdependence to remain in their own homes.
Arthur, I understand you were one of the co-founders of STL Village, which formally began 5 years ago this week. What first prompted you to get involved and devote your energy to this effort?
Well, I had the great fortune to meet Dr. Gloria Gordon, a local activist, and she said she had this idea that she had heard about a group of neighbors in Boston had gotten together, and they had created a village, and she thought we should do one here. And I said, well, what does that mean? And she says, well, as Madeline just described, it means a group of neighbors taking care of each other. How do you create a community where people care about each other and we're connected to this? So we took a megabus to Chicago. She and 2 other women spent 3 days there, visited Lincoln Park's village model, and came back. And over a 2-year period, we're fortunate enough to create the energy and the will to open the doors and launch with STL Village. And what was important about that was that from the beginning, it was really important to have this inclusive and diverse village. And so we very intentionally drew a footprint from where we could draw our membership from that extended north of Del Mar. And we were urged to do that. And it's always been really important that there's this diverse group of people who are able to get together within St. Louis around this important issue on aging.
Can you give me a sense, Arthur, of a typical day in the life of the village, kind of a sample of the activities and tasks that might happen on any given day?
Sure. Well, I think last Monday or Tuesday perhaps was game day. So that means that we gather at, I think it starts at 1 o'clock. And right now we're playing dominoes. I never played dominoes before. And it's great. You know, there's 7 or 8 of us that gather. We play for 2 or 3 hours afterwards. We go out and have some fellowship and food. And it's a wonderful way to connect with people around something that's non-threatening, that's interactive, that's engaging. You know, as we become older, it's really important to pay attention to not being isolated. And a primary principle of the village model is that we try to engage people and get them out of their homes and deal with that isolation. And I think the village can be very successful to do that.
And Paulette, your nonprofit is leading a new effort to start what you've described as a naturally occurring retirement community in North City, correct?
Yeah, but we're also very attuned to the village-to-village model. that they discussed. When I first found out about naturally occurring retirement communities, I wasn't living in St. Louis. I was living in Indiana, and so the whole idea of having an aging community really resonated with me. And when I moved back to my home, St. Louis, I thought, this is something I need to look at again. There's a reason for that.
And I know you had a recent planning meeting for this. Mm-hmm. What's the response been like so far from the seniors in the communities that you want to serve?
They've been really excited because the idea of doing some very specific types of activities and talk to them about having a voice in terms of housing that's built in our communities and connecting with new people really, really got them excited.
Great to hear. And I'm intrigued by the arts and culture focus that
Mm-hmm.
you have with this. Why did you settle on that as the focus?
With the research that I had done on what were the things that really engage people, and also the fact that we do a lot of arts and culture currently at the village. And the whole idea of getting people to be involved in a way that's non-threatening, that could be something where they can express their creativity and that they could find other people that had similar interests really worked. And so we're trying to build on that, and we're doing a pilot project this summer.
And what is that?
It's a summer camp for seniors.
Well, tell me more.
Well, one, it is really, really exciting because a lot of seniors never had an opportunity to go to camp, and or those that did had fond memories of it. And so we thought this could be something really good if we had a way of introducing what we're trying to do through the summer camp at the same time that we're building our advisory group, but also people would get used to the type of activities that we were doing and that they could continue that on into the fall.
Wonderful. I'd love to hear from each of you what you've observed among your fellow older adults in terms of a village significantly contributing to an individual's quality of life. Is there a particular success story that stands out for you, Madeline?
Certainly. We have a member who had recently lost a partner and was experiencing tremendous grief and basically had isolated himself within his residence. Fortunately, one of our members invited him to one of our events, and he came. And as a result of that, he has become extremely involved in the village. And basically, he will tell anyone who asked him that STL Village saved his life because he was really in a dark place at that time. And now he participates in our activities committee. He attends most of our events and is just really engaged and connected now to other people.
That's great to hear. How about you, Arthur?
I'll talk a little bit differently. I will talk a group of villagers. It's very typical on a Wednesday that one of the food pantries that we work with through our farm to have as many as 5 or 6 different villages there volunteering. So, for example, they'll be there to collect the vegetables that we and the students drop off. They'll be there to clean and organize it, help prepare the meal, check people in. So this smaller group of villagers, through service are able to give back, and it's something that really, I think, enhances their life.
And I'm curious about the potential for intergenerational interaction with all of this too. Do you see that? I know the membership in STL Village is limited to folks 50 years and older, but it sounds like you're working with younger folks too.
Yes, very much so, and I think it's extremely important. I think one of the very most important and unique things about being in STL Village is the opportunity to participate in a class called When I'm 64, offered by Washington University through their Center on Aging. It's open to freshmen at the university across the entire spectrum. It's limited to 75 students. It's oversubscribed, but 15 members of STL Village are able to take that class also. So this will be my 5th year to take this class, and there's this body of knowledge around aging, and to be with people who are 17 and 18 and 19, and to open their eyes to issues around aging, it's really important for the young person as well as for the older adults.
Mm-hmm. Paulette, with your work, do you find that you just see the arts and culture aspect really increase quality of life for seniors?
Absolutely. For instance, we have a group called the Wise Women. And when most of them started participating, they said, I don't have any artistic skills. I can't do this. I can't do that. But slowly, one of the first things I did was took them to a class at Craft Alliance so that they could, do something that was different. They did jewelry making, and we started using paints, and I told them that there weren't really any rules. And I've watched them blossom. As a matter of fact, one woman told me that her son wanted to paint his athletic shoes. And she said she found herself telling him, whoa, stop, you need to use fabric medium. And she had to stop and think, where did I learn that you use fabric medium? She said that wasn't even a part of her vocabulary before. So now she's giving instructions to her son about how to use paints.
Madeline, I'm curious, what advice would you have for someone who's perhaps on the fence about this idea? Or maybe advice is the wrong word, but can the village be a resource for senior citizens who are approaching different stages of life and thinking about their options to have those conversations?
Tremendously. And I think that because our members range from age 52 through 99, it covers a wide spectrum of a person's life. So, for instance, we did a seminar on transitioning from work to retirement, which is a very significant part in a person's life because at the point of retirement, a lot of our social systems that are in place no longer exist. And so it's really a very dramatic point in a person's life. So I think that is a way that a person who is newly retired can now find a new set of friends that they can interact with that they no longer have through their employment.
And what about family members? Maybe they're adult children who don't live in St. Louis and aren't sure if they think their parent if it's the best option for them to stay in their home.
And that is very important. And we have several members who do not have family here in St. Louis and have adult children who are away, who tell us that they have confidence in their parents' security and safety because they're members of the village, because they know that they can call us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If there is an immediate need, we're there to respond to it.
Arthur, what kinds of tasks can seniors get help with through this group? I know we've talked a lot about activities, but it sounds like you can also provide services. What are some of those?
Yeah, the STL Village is not kind of a service provider, but what we do have is a list of vetted providers of services that we all need at some point in time. And these providers primarily have been given to us by other village members. So if you need a painter or a plumber or an eye doctor or whatnot, there's this group that we would recommend that you go to as part of all that. Rides are always a big issue. You can never transportation. You can never give enough rides to folks, and we struggle with that. I think as do a lot of villages. And but we try, and I find it's a good way to meet people. And there are people actually who'd like to spend their time driving. We see that now through Lyft and Uber. So through that we've now gotten people who aren't even village members who are volunteering to be able to provide that type of driving services.
Well, that's great. Well, we need to take a quick break, but we'll be back shortly to continue this conversation about aging in place and leading vibrant lives as older adults. This is St. Louis on the Air on St. Louis Public Radio, 90.7 KWMU.
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, saluting Earth Day on April 22nd with an ongoing commitment to help offset carbon emissions with sustainable harvesting of Missouri forests. Details at choosewood.com.
And welcome back. We return now to our conversation with Madeline Franklin, Arthur Colbert, and Paulette Sankofa, all of whom are deeply invested in helping older adults in our region continue living in communities and neighborhoods of their choosing. The sheer cost of living associated with moving to a nursing home or assisted living facility can be astronomical. Madeline, how does money factor into all of this?
I think money factors in quite a bit. Generally, the cost of living in an assisted living facility averages between $5,000 and $6,000 per month, as opposed to continuing to remain at home. So as far as being cost effective, remaining in your own home is certainly superior than moving into an assisted living or nursing home facility. It's really a major consideration now as we see the increase in the numbers of older adults who, quite frankly, do not have resources allocated to that extent to be able to move efficiently into residential living facilities.
Paulette, what do you hear in North City from folks?
A lot of different perspectives on the whole idea of aging in place. One of the big concerns in North St. Louis is because there's so much transition taking place around new development and things like that, and people being displaced, and the quality of different types of apartments and other things that are available is a constant concern. And because of the way the money stream is set up, how long will tax abatements and things like that work on apartments that subsidize seniors? One of the things that we're trying to do is map out our community right now to find out, exactly what is available and what are options for people, because some may be living with families, some may not be living with intergenerationally with their families. So exploring those options, having discussions with people in the community to start looking at that as, being viable options for people to stay in multiple generations.
Arthur, with STL Village being 5 years in now formally, has the group been able to advocate for more senior-friendly communities in St. Louis?
We try. We try to educate. We try to advocate. It's a challenge, and yet it's proven to be a very sustainable model. There are 350 villages in operation or in opening in 42 different states and 5 different countries around the world. So we know the model works. We see some cities where they actually have as an employee of that city, Washington, D.C. or San Francisco, somebody whose job responsible to open villages, because local governments see this, again, as a cost-effective way to do it. So we try at the state level, we try throughout the state, we try here in the city, and we'll continue to, because we believe in it and we see the results. And we as a nation need to do something about this issue for older adults. And
what kinds of things are you advocating for?
Well, we're advocating for that we could help sustain these villages. I mean, it's hard. It's the way we raise our revenue is through both dues as well as fundraisers and the like. And we don't charge that much. It's a challenge to raise money. So we could use that type of financial help to be able to do that. At the same time, just to begin that conversation, though, also around older adults, we swim in this sea of ageism where, we do not respect older adults and give them the credit that we should at this point in time. They have a lot to offer, and I think that we could be more inclusive in terms of how we use them and include them.
What do you all think people can do to push back against ageism? Any thoughts on that?
That's a great question.
Madeline?
I think the first thing that needs to be done is to call it when you see it, because I think a lot of time it is so subtle, so subliminal that, things like, and I was just recently reading an article about the employment sector and the response that older adult job applicants receive, that they're just kind of immediately disqualified from consideration for a job, often because they have too much experience is what the rationale is. So I think that continuing to challenge it when you see it, I think is the first and foremost thing that needs to be done. I think older adults also play a role in that by recognizing our value as we age and not attempting to look younger and act younger and know that 70 is not the new 50, and recognize that we've earned our gray hair and our aching knees, and take pride in the fact that we have aged gracefully.
Paulette, is that something you think about personally at all?
Absolutely. I know when I first moved back to St. Louis, I called it the terrible twos, TOO. Well, I was too old for this and too qualified for that, and it was a nightmare. And that was another impetus for me developing this whole program. I really hope that what we're able to do is help other older adults in our community seize their voice, seize their power, and become active again and not think that it's over, because society would like you to think that you should just pack up and go into a closet and sit there and just wait for your turn to be packed away for good. So, and there are a lot of really excited and feisty seniors that are involved in our program, and so hopefully that will inspire other seniors to become active and involved.
Arthur, in your role as urban farmer in residence at New City School, I'm just really curious about that. What fuels your passion for that project in particular, and what does it involve?
It was a vacant lot. This is our 9th growing season, and walked by it on my way to work, and we figured out who owned it. We asked them, could we start a community garden? And from the beginning, it was very intentional that the vegetables and fruits that we would harvest would go to 2 food pantries in town. And we immediately linked up with New City School. It's our 8th year working with them. And tomorrow they'll be at the farm harvesting celery and onions to get to the food pantry. And last year we helped feed 2,500 family members. But what I think is really cool about that in this discussion is how other villagers have become involved in helping to feed the hungry also. So I think we need to all wake up still with a purpose. You know, service is a great way to spend your day, and we have time to do that. And if you can put those combinations together as older adults, we've gone a long way in terms of figuring out, you know, how do we continue to be engaged and be happy.
Paulette, what do our listeners need to know to get connected with your group and learn more?
Okay, in order to get in touch with Peace Weaving Wholeness, they can, which is the actual organization, they can reach us at peaceweavingwholeness@gmail.com, or they can reach on my cell number. Is the easiest way to reach. My number's all over everywhere. I never get crazy calls. Please don't call me with something crazy. But anyway, area code 765-993-4977. We set up one-on-one appointments to register for the summer camp. And if they're interested in being on our advisory committee, there is a meeting tonight at 2701 North 14th Street at Zuka Art Gallery, where we'll be talking about the different models. As a matter of fact, Madeline's our speaker tonight.
Right. And Madeline, how about STL Village? What do folks need to do to become involved?
Well, I'm very excited. This evening at 4 o'clock, we're having our 5th anniversary celebration. We're very excited about that. It's taking place at Second Presbyterian Church, located at 4501 Westminster Place. So we certainly invite listeners to come and enjoy the festivities that we have planned, as well as visit our website, which is stlvillage.org, or our telephone number at our office, which is also located at Second Presbyterian Church, is 314-240-5020.
Well, our time is winding down, but I'd love to get a final thought from each of you. Arthur, let's start with you. Do you have a closing comment about the village movement and where things are headed?
Well, the only ism that we just allow to occur in this society is age. You know, we deal with race, not so successfully sometimes, with women issues and the like, and different types of things like that. But we've just given a pass on this. And I think that it's about time to gather this voice, as the other 2 speakers have said today, and to come together and to really be out there and be loud and be proud that we have these gray hairs, as Madeline said, and it's okay. It's who we are, and we have so much to offer. And it's such a fun time. You know, we're so fortunate to have this day as a gift and to, you know, be part of this. So it's very exciting, and encourage everybody to come to one of our events.
How about you, Paulette? Any closing thoughts for our listeners?
I'm very excited about this day and time that I'm living in, so that I'm not really out here alone in this process, because, you know, I know people through the village movement, and there are other seniors who are willing to work and get out here and make this happen for us. So that's really great, really great.
And Madeline, anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I think that it's important to remember that it does take a village to age in community. And so it's important to recognize that it's okay for us to rely upon each other. We are independent people. And so therefore, it's a good thing to connect with your neighbors and to make friends, because it's so important, because we are doing life together.
Well, I want to thank all three of you for your time today. Madeline Franklin, Executive Director of STL Village, Arthur Colbert, a co-founder of the Village and the Urban Farmer in Residence at New City School, and Paulette Sankofa, founder of Peace Weaving Wholeness and the Sankofa Culture and Art Wellness Village. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
This is St. Louis on the Air on St. Louis Public Radio, 90.7 KWMU.
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, saluting Earth Day on April 22nd with an ongoing commitment to help offset carbon emissions with sustainable harvesting of Missouri forests. Details at choosewood.com.